What's up YouTube? Capital G here, Master Rule 5 Tech Genus. Synchro summoning all day and all night, minimal link summoning. I mean, not even like Crystron Needle Fiber. Ironically, you could make an argument that ISO does more for Tech Genus than Needle Fiber actually does. And Needle Fiber is obviously a very strong card. It's going to be dueling against Cyber Dragons in this match. Shoutouts to my boy once again, Stardust Yu-Gi-Oh! The link will be in the description if you guys want to check out his channel and the fabulous stuff that he has going on over there. But let's go ahead and run this. And this is definitely an ISO turbo build. You're going to be running things like Junk Forward and obviously like the Neo Space Connector. These are cards that just help you turbo out ISO'd as quickly as possible. And he is running an engine of the Bamboo Swords because those cards just kind of float and they can get you a lot of draw power. I still think the the TG Trident Launcher is a very powerful card. It's incredibly solid for synchro summoning because it special summons a TG from your deck and from your graveyard as well as your hand. So even though it's a link 3 and you got to put a decent amount of materials into it, it does special summon 3 monsters, which not a lot of link monsters can do. So it's going to let you essentially synchro summon a lot. And he's playing the bamboo cards to get some draws, goes into TG Hyper Librarian. I've said this in other videos. Don't be surprised if TG Hyper Librarian ends up getting hit because the amount of cards you can draw from this freaking card is insane. And this is actually how Konami wanted you to play TG. Like, this is how they designed the deck to be played. But during the 5Ds era, at the very tail end when TG were released in Extreme Victory, no one played the deck like this. They didn't play it as a synchro spam deck. They played it as a control deck, which I always think is really interesting. You can even play, it's crazy, you can even play like a lot of the TGs that are not even arguably that powerful, but the fact that they can special summon themselves or be special summoned from the graveyard means that they're incredibly good for, the fodder fodder for like synchro summoning. He's going to go for a lot of Excel synchros during this turn. TG Blade Blaster, also like the Shooting Star Dragon TG expansion. That name is freaking long. He's not going to be done with that because he is going to be able to synchro summon during his opponent's turn as well. So when his opponent drops that Cyber Dragon, he will actually be able to drop a Blazar Dragon. Now, one thing that kind of sucked here is the fact that the TG Blade Blaster, which is a powerful monster, has built-in negation. It is actually a machine, so the Cyber Dragon was able to contact fuse with it, and there's nothing you can do. Even if you negate the summon of the Fortress Dragon, you don't get your, Synchro monster back. He is going to go ahead and negate that. Not sure I agree with that, because now his opponent is going to be able to drop that copy of Galaxy Soldier, and one Galaxy Soldier gets another one. He's able to go for Nova, bring back the Cyber Dragon, and go for Infinity. He's looking to suck up the copy of Trident Launcher, which means that he can now use the Shooting Dragon to simply negate that effect. But if you negate, then obviously like Infinity will just negate your negate. So negation for days here. He will be able to get himself a Bamboo Sword, but he's actually close to being gamed here. Stardust Yu-Gi-Oh! Are you gonna lose this duel? He's so lucky, by the way, that his opponent opened with that Twin Twister, which was basically a dead card. Had that been another monster, maybe he ends up winning the duel right then and there. But he does have his, he has his Blazar Dragon. Did I call that Quasar Dragon earlier? I feel like I might have. He has Blazar Dragon, and Blazar is going to negate the Cyber Dragon Infinity. I don't even know if I would have activated Infinity, because you know that Blazar is going to negate it, but at least then you don't have to take that attack. He's going to continue Synchro summoning, and we'll see exactly what he can make. This is, by the way, like an opportunity for Boral Sword Dragon to just put in that work, but instead he's going to go for Satellite Warrior, which can actually nuke some cards on his opponent's side of the field. One of them is going to be protected. He doesn't quite have enough damage. This was a miscalculation of epic proportions. You guys know the reason why is because he actually is going to lock himself out of his own Blazar Dragon. I think that Stardust Yu-Gi-Oh! Just got the math wrong. He's off by 200, and he doesn't get his Blazar Dragon back. That's so unfortunate because he doesn't have any zones to summon it in. So yeah, that kind of sucks. I guess maybe If he would have summoned Satellite Warrior in the extra monster zone, then I think the the Blazar Dragon would have been able to be summoned back. But he locked himself out, which is unfortunate because his opponent is going to get back into this duel, summoning Cyber Dragon Hertz, which is now a level 5. Then he can summon the Cyber Dragon Dre, which is also a level 5. He can go for Nova into Infinity, also summons another Cyber Dragon, and he's got little monsters on the field to attack over, and he ends up clinching that victory. Small miscalculations can end up costing you the duel if you don't, if you don't do everything right. Sometimes you end up goofing. Alright, so here's what the deck looks like on paper, and as you guys can see, this is definitely an ISO turbo build. You're going to be running a bunch of warrior monsters. The entire purpose of these monsters is to get to your ISO as quickly as possible. You could probably argue that Needle Fiber and ISO, you can argue that they kind of accomplish the same thing when you're playing a hyper focus, like a hyper synchro or hyper aggressive TG variant, because Needle Fiber can summon like Striker from your deck, and then that turns into Trident Launcher. ISO does the same exact thing, but I believe that ISO is actually like more beneficial because it can drop like your it can drop these equips in the graveyard, and then the equips can get you draw cards. So they kind of accomplish the same thing, but ISO does it a little better. Obviously, when you make ISO, you summon your TG Striker from your deck, and then that goes into your Trident Launcher. It also gets you a TG monster in your graveyard to reborn from Trident Launcher, and then at that point all you kind of need is one in your hand, because you're going to be able to obviously have one left in your deck. This deck can summon a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Like, you've got a lot of Excel Synchro monsters that you're going to be using. You have things like Cosmic Blazar Dragon that you will be able to summon. I feel like I've been calling this thing Shooting Blazar Dragon. Maybe I have been. You could replace this. It's easily interchangeable with something like Shooting Quasar Dragon, Blazar Dragon, Quasar Dragon, whichever one you fancy. But mainly you're just going to be synchro summoning as much as possible. I do feel like this deck could probably use a little more oomph, because, you know, the Shooting Star Dragon TG expansion, it's a pretty good card, but it's not nearly as powerful as some of the other synchro monsters out there. It's a great level 10, but I feel like there are better ones. Like, I think Stardust Warrior is arguably like a better level 10 synchro monster. Like, this card's okay, but its negation is not always what's the word I'm looking for? It's not always reliable, because it kind of works on targeting, and if your opponent has non-targeting removal, they can easily kind of play around it. So this deck's power level is it's not nearly as high as some of the other synchro spam decks, but it is still a fairly strong deck.